Hi, today I would like to talk about racism, and this message is mainly for my black brothers and sisters. Um, I'm a Christian, born again Christian, so that's why brothers and sisters, everybody that is born again, believes in Christ, we're brothers and sisters. But it's for the whole black community, and of course, anybody else that's interested in the topic of racism. So, first of all, of course, racism is real. I mean, it's been real since the dawn of mankind, and it's going to be real forever. We're never going to be able to get rid of it. However, we can definitely minimize it. And my message is going to be probably a little hard. The truth is hard. And I wasn't born in the States, so I grew up a little differently to say things as they are. So please don't get offended. A lot of people will be, I know that. But the message is from my heart and from my experience and knowledge, and it is because I care. If I wouldn't care, then I wouldn't even talk to you about this. But as somebody that has been oppressed, I know oppression. I know when you have no freedom. So I can recognize the oppression of the black people. But it's actually the racism and the oppression is different than what you've been led to believe. You are being misled. It's a tactic that, of course, I experienced in oppression. It's propaganda and it's misdirection, and it's to divide people, and it's all for one goal, just to control people. And so I know all the tactics. I grew up underneath it, and I can see it, what is happening to the black community, what's happening to my black brothers and sisters in church even, how they're being misled by the world, and instead of being guided by scripture, by the truth, they're being strayed away by the world. And black community is really, and my brothers and sisters, you're not realizing who your true enemy is, what their goal is, how you're being used. And so that's what I would like to talk about. And as I said again, I want to stress this. It is because I care, and I care about everybody that is being oppressed. I don't care what race, what religion, what belief they are. It is because I was oppressed. I have a deep passion, fight oppression, and lack of freedom, and I want to educate about it. So the whole 1619 Project, the BLM movement, all of it is a big lie. Institutional racism does exist, but not the way you think. Systematic racism, that's just a bunch of bull, okay? It doesn't exist. So let me attack one topic at a time. So Black Lives Matter is a Marxist organization, flat out Marxist, and that's what I escaped from. So I know their tactics, I know what they're all about. The founders are self-proclaimed trained Marxists. Their agenda is not to help you, not to help the black community, not to fight racism. The agenda is to bring in socialism, to bring in Marxism. That is their agenda. That's why they are really not doing anything for you, for the black community. That's why they're not in the neighborhoods. They raised tens and tens of millions of dollars, haven't put one dime into your poverty or into your education in anything. All the money that they're raising goes to elect white liberals. Biden, Sanders. Okay, so what is that about? The agenda is to keep you still enslaved, just in a different way. And not just you as the black community, but the whole society. Change America, as Obama promised, that he's going to fundamentally change America. And that's what the Black Lives Movement is about. Marxist organization using racism and black people to usher in their ideology, their view of the world, a socialist society. And that's where I grew up. I didn't grow up in communism. Communism never existed. It's a misconception. We grew up in socialism that was run by the dictatorship of the Communist Party. And there is no difference in socialism being run by the Democratic Party or any other party. It's the same thing. And because the Democratic Party, if you look at history, they were always the party of slavery and racism. Always keep the black population down, keep it oppressed, keep it uneducated, keep it poor, keep the population down with abortion, birth control, and all of this. That was always their agenda. When they couldn't keep it anymore, thanks to Republicans, okay, and Republicans have their problem, but that's not the issue right now. But because they couldn't keep black people oppressed and as slaves or segregated and all the black codes and Jim Crow laws, they came up with another brilliant, actually, scam, and it was the civil rights movement. The law, not the movement. The movement was actually started by black people that wanted to be free and didn't want the oppression, and white people helped that had the same goal of freedom for everybody. So they passed the law, but with the law of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the goal was, we're still going to keep the black population enslaved and oppressed. Instead of keeping them segregated, separate, and instead of actually getting free labor from them, we're going to use them as slaves for votes. And that's what the Democratic Party did. And that's where the systematic racism comes in, by affirmative action. Okay, by just based on your color of your skin, you're going to have special treatment. You're going to get into schools, you're going to get grants, you're going to get loans, affordable housing, and all these things just based on the color of your skin, giving you goodies, giving you freebies. If that's not racist on its own, then I don't know what is. If you're being treated differently than everybody else based on the color of your skin, doesn't matter if good or bad, it is racism. So because they are racist, the Democratic Party, so they did this. But of course, everything comes with strings attached. But one thing that they did is purposely to destroy the black family, because every good society, the foundation is a family. So, and family, then you have freedom, and you have prosperity, and you raise good kids and everything when you have a family. So of course the Democratic Party had to destroy the black family. So that's when they started, if a single mother, we're gonna take care of you, we're gonna give you money, but the condition was the father could not be in the home. So that they destroyed the family that way. Then giving welfare, they destroyed the incentive and motivation to work. So everything they did, if you look at before the 1964 Great Society of Lyndon Johnson, who was an evil man and was a racist, and who said if we passed this law, which Democrats did not want to give the rights to black people, he convinced the Southern Democrats to pass it, and he said, according to his autobiographer, if we pass this law, we're going to have the N-word voting for us for the next 200 years. And unfortunately, it is right now almost 60 years, and the black community predominantly is voting for their own oppressors, for the Democratic Party. And if you look before the 1964, even with all the evils of the segregation and everything, the black community was much better off financially, more businesses, farms, education, children born out of wedlock, less than 20%. Now it's over 70%. So if you look, since the Democratic Party started taking care of you, how a lot worse off you are, you will realize who your true enemy is, and that it is the Democratic Party that does not want you to advance, does not want you to get past the color of your skin. You're constantly being treated different because of your color of your skin, and you're only being used to keep the Democratic Party in power. The worst neighborhoods are in big cities that are run for 40, 50 years by Democrats. And not only by white Democrats, it used to be white, now even black Democrats. And if you think that just because somebody else is black, that they care about you because you're black, you're wrong. And that is another lie that a lot of you are falling into. Most people are oppressed by their own people. Here, when I was growing up behind the Iron Curtain, Czech people were oppressing Czech people. Okay, it wasn't Germans or somebody else, or even the Russians. Yes, they were over it all, but Czech people were oppressing Czech people. Okay, it always is mainly Chinese people are being oppressed by Chinese people right now. Cuban people are being oppressed by Cuban people, not by some outside force or another race or another nation. So a lot of black people in your community are oppressing you for their own personal benefit, and you have to wake up and realize that they do not have your best interests at heart. They're using you just as well for their own gain, for power, for money, for everything. Now, with the Black Lives Movement, you are being used to usher in Marxism, socialism. That's what you're being used to usher that in under the disguise of racism. They get you all worked up about racism and send you off to protest, riot, disrupt, and it is take down statues, set things on fire. It is a revolution. It is a Marxist revolution. It has happened in so many countries before. I have seen this. My grandparents, my parents lived through this. There's nothing new under the sun. It's the same old tactics being used to usher this in, and you are being played. You are being used. And if they succeed, if the Democratic Party succeeds, you will not like what's going to happen to you. And to get back to the institutionalized racism, there is institutionalized racism against you, and it is all the welfare, all the affirmative action, and all of that. The system is set up against you to keep you down, not to become independent. So it is not, as you're being lied to, that you cannot make it. No, you're actually getting a lot of extra benefits that other people do not get. But it's a poison pill, because it does take away a lot of the motivation, and on top of it, it's telling you that you cannot make it without that help. So if that's not racist, that is pretty much saying that you're not capable of, as every other race, to do it under normal circumstances, that you do need all this help to succeed. And on top of it, they're still telling you that because of the color of your skin, you're black, you can't still make it even with all this help. So that's where the institutionalized racism exists, and it really is. Systematic racism doesn't exist. That means that you are constantly being discriminated against because of the color of your skin. I have traveled the world, okay? And black people, you in America are more free than any other black people anywhere in the world, and more prosperous. But I do understand when you're constantly saying that everything that is evil and wrong done to you is because the color of your skin. Repeated lie enough becomes the truth. That's the old tactic of propaganda. Hitler used it to deceive a whole nation of educated Germans, to deceive them to do unspeakable evil things. And so when I understand when you're being constantly told this lie, that you will believe it. But that's the tactic that they used in communism. They used it in fascism. It's a proven tactic, but it is a lie. Okay. There is not racism on that scale in the United States of America. Bad things happen to everybody because we live in a bad world. I had run-ins with cops, many of them. Most of them were not pleasant, okay? But I didn't look at it that bad things are happening to me because of the color of my skin, because first of all, nobody's telling me that. But even if they would be telling me that it's because of the color of my skin, it wouldn't be the truth and I wouldn't believe it, because I do have the experience how this works. And I'm telling you, you're being lied to. Not everything that happens to you bad is because of the color of your skin. Sometimes, yes. Okay, that happens. As I said, racism, we're never ever going to be able to get rid of it. We would have to get rid of evil from people's hearts, which is not going to happen. People are evil. And But as I said, the problem with the cops is how the system is set up. It's the power, it's the abuse of power. And we're all getting, regardless of our race, we're getting abused by the cops. So there needs to be a reform of the cops. Defunding the cops is nonsense, okay? And that when you're being stopped and profiled, I get profiled because of my long hair, I get stopped by cops, okay? And because of other things. So don't believe these lies, that everything that ever happened to you by a white person or by a cop is because you are black. It's not how it is. We have made huge progress in racism in the United States, and the Democrats want to throw this back. They love the hatred. They want to stir racial hatred. They don't want us to be united, because unity, no oppressive government ever wants unity. It goes back to Julius Caesar. He realized if he wants to conquer Rome, he has to divide. That's why he said divide and conquer. That's what the communists did. They divided us. We were all white, so they divided us by nationalities. They divided us by class status. They divided us by everything. Does that remind you of something? Who divides us in America by all kinds of different ways? It's the Democratic Party. By class, by race, by gender, by political view. Just divide, make us hate each other, then they can more easily rule. Because if we would unite, we would realize who our true enemy is, the enemy of freedom, the proponents of oppression, that it's the Democratic Party. We would overthrow them, and they would never get another vote. But it's a common thing that I'm going to give you something and you vote for me, tits for tats, and you are falling for it, that they're going to help you. Ask yourself, how did they help your community and you personally? How did the Democratic Party help you since the 60s? They've been trying to help you and take care of you. So I beg you, educate yourself, learn. Why do you think statues need to be thrown down and streets renamed and buildings burned down? This is what happened in my country. This has happened in every country that oppression, dictatorship, socialism, communism came. They have to get rid of history or rewrite history so then they can control the future. And you're being used to do that. Why do you think that you're even required or encouraged to topple statues of Lincoln? That was against slavery, and Emancipation Proclamation gave freedom to you, to black people, is because it's part of history. If you leave that statue up, people might go, well, who's this guy? And what did he do? Oh, he was against racism? How does that fit? You start questioning, you start researching. All has to be wiped out, so you can start with a clean slate, so you can rebuild the society and the country according to your ideological viewpoint, which is Marxism, Leninism, Stalinism, socialism, dictatorship, oppression. And I know where it leads. I've been there. You will not like it. You won't have any freedoms. And on top of it, when the Democratic Party is done with you, when they're done with you, when they're not going to need you anymore, they are going to persecute you. The revolution eats its own, even the ones that help. And because the Democratic Party in its nature is racist, it's only a matter of time they're going to turn on you and use you. Just look at Charles Manson. He tried to start a race war. That's what the Democratic Party is doing now, trying to start a race war, trying to pin us against each other, for you to hate white people to hate black people. Please, wake up. Don't vote for your oppressor. Do not be your worst own enemy and vote for your enemies, because if the Democratic Party wins this November, they will fundamentally change, as Obama promised America. And the most free, the most prosperous country in the history of the world will not be the same, not even close. And you can listen to some other videos. I will be talking about what communism is, how the life actually works in a society like that. So God bless you. Pray. Seek knowledge. And that's another reason why they purposely keep the black community's poor schools, so your children are not educated, because knowledge is power. So seek it. You will realize what I'm telling you is the truth. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe and click on the notification bell.